Well, I think I've already started some footage on this. But anyway, I'm looking to do the gas strut conversion. Get rid of these torsion bar springs for the hood. I have got a prop up there. The struts I got are off of 2004 Suburban, something like that. Anyway, I'll look that back up and include it. But I don't even have to drill a hole here. It'll just fit. Right where that torsion bar end hits, once they're out, I got to come in and do a little clearance where the strut is going to come up from the bottom there. All right, that bolt right there, I'm not taking it out because I'm not taking the fender off, but I did loosen it up on both sides so that the fender will pull out more easily. As you can see, I took off the inner fender liner. Okay, this bolt goes to the inner fender. Then the liner bolts there, and then there's one up underneath here. Get rid of all the dirt and crap down in there. And what I'm looking at is right down in that corner there is where the strut should land. Okay, now I might possibly try to move it up an inch, but basically I can go to the inside, and I think I've documented most of this. Maybe it's all just on Instagram, or waiting to go on Instagram, but I've got enough room to get in here. I think with the air body saw, I only have to really just cut in twice in there and then bend that flap. I don't necessarily want to cut that flap off. So anyway, that's where we're starting. Biggest thing I got to figure out now is how to get the torsion bars off. I don't really want to take the hood off the hinges because it's just me. My buddy Dave wanted to come over and help, but the last time we started this, we thought we were going to have to take the whole fender off, and that turned out to be way more work than we thought it needed to be. Doesn't matter, we took the grill off because I got a better grill now, and that valance has got to get swapped out. But get the torsion bars off, and then I can put the top one in the hole there, get an idea, better measurement for the bottom, and drill a hole, see if I can't get this project going. Well, I think I'll pull back a little bit tighter, or a little bit further when I actually do the prying, but I just watched a guy. I'll try to remember to put a link once this finally makes it to the YouTube video and that stuff. It was a short 3-minute something video, guy working on his Barracuda. Now he had his fenders off, and that made a big difference, it seems. He showed how to put a pry bar, this kind of pry bar, point, drift punch, something like that would probably work too, but poke it in the hole, and then that would give you a spot, and you could take the pry bar and come in under that and pry this down and let it come over. I was worried that these things were under so much pressure that they would snap all the way back and hit the fender. They only come up to about here, I guess, so I'm not quite as worried about it anymore. Anyway, I tried to do that, but with the fender on, it's in the way. So if you take the fender off first, okay, the fender's all the way down to here, okay. So with this out of the way, you can put a pry bar in here and come straight down in this area. Lots of room, okay. Now some of you guys will be in that position, which is why I want to include a link to that video. The other reason is too, is I'm using some pieces here and stuff like that that not everybody's necessarily going to have, okay. Now I was going to try to put this in, and since I have limited room here, by the time it just starts to engage, the pry bar is out of range. So I was going to put this in, I was going to put the tubes over it, just some scrap metal tubes to get me closer to the torsion bar and hold this in there. But then I thought, man, you know, I had 120 millimeter 10.9 bolts metric, because this hole fits 5/16, same as M8, and I've got lots of metric hardware running around. Been doing Datsuns for years. So those used to be made into push rods for the brake modifications. But anyway, so I put that in there, double nut washer on each side to hold it on there, so I don't have to worry about trying to hold that on. Okay, then I put these two metal sleeves on, and I put the vice grips on here to kind of hold it up against here so they can't walk away and fall off while I'm at it. Then I put the vice grips right here to give me more of a surface to pry on, okay, because right where the torsion bar bends right there, there's not really a whole lot to get in and bite on. Now, I can come in here, and I know you can't see it from this side, but I'm down and basically clear of the loop in here. Now, what I don't know is I'm going to see if I can't get another pry bar in here and bend it in so then I can let it back up, you know, out of here. We're going to try, but I think I'll just... Oh! I think I'm still kind of stuck in the groove there, but oh no, that's clear. There we go. Now the question is letting this loose so that it doesn't just break something. And I don't want to get my thumb on the other side, so it's... Okay, a little jarring on the wrist, but certainly survive. So that's off. I'm tickled pink that way. I don't see any real reason to take all of that off and apart. Stick it right on the other side, even though I still have more to do with the torsion bar here. Now basically what's going to happen, this should lift right up out of there. Now, granted, the pressure's only till there, but let's consider myself lucky. A little jarring, this time a little more on the thumb. You got it done. So in the long, I'm not going to put it back together and find a safer way to do it. These are coming off, period. So I'm done. Now I got to pull those two wires and snake these out of here. So I'm tickled pink. I really thought it was going to be much more of an ordeal. I think that probably would have been safer if I had my buddy Dave here, because we could have figured out a way, gotten another hand on this to help hold it down. Okay, there we go. Now, you know, the torsion bars, once you get a little lube in the pivot points and stuff like that, keep them from squeaking too much. They weren't that bad at this point, because they were really bad when I first got them. But I sprayed Freol on all the contacting points and everything kind of quieted up a bit. I have a torsion bar that's down here basically hitting my bracket for my power brakes. That was one reason I wanted it to go. And the other is that is the way the wiring is pinched back there behind it. Yeah, I wanted them out. Okay, let's see if we can... Oh, he didn't have fenders on. So he was able to twist this and get it out of there. I'm not necessarily dead in the water, but what it does mean is that I am going to mount the struts on here and do that part and make sure that works and holds the hood and everything. Once that's proven and I'm golden there, then I'll just get out the cutoff wheel and I'll just break the bar in half and take it out that way. You know, I'll cut that L off the other end and I'll cut the L off this end and we'll be good. Looking for where I want to mount bottom end there, there's not a whole lot of movement here, okay, when the hood's going up and down. So from where I had it, I am probably, I don't know, another 6 inches higher, because the torsion bars actually, they kind of hook, the hinges hook under there and stop it from going up any further. So I'm higher than normal, and I did it in 2 stages. I have these extendable mop shafts, mop handles. This one specifically is for putting up Christmas decorations, the clips. Anyway, that'll hold paint rollers and stuff like that for painting without having to use a ladder, inside, outside, whatever. Anyway, so I used that one and I pushed it up at least another 3 inches, and then I can go up. I've got about 3 inches here, roughly 2.5. So I can go up another 2.5 inches, but I don't know that I want the strut pushing it up that high. One, I'm really short, and let's see, when the car is down on the ground, oh, it'll go down far enough. I'll be able to reach it, hopefully. Anyway, so I think I'm going to leave it there. That gets it up definitely higher than it was, because what I'm looking at is if I bolt the struts in at the bottom and it sags a bit, it'll still be where it was before. So I may go ahead and lift it all the way to the end. They're only 165-pound struts, something like that. 180, one reference I had. But other people online have talked about how the struts needed to be 2.25, something like that, or 180. I don't remember. I looked at all this stuff a few weeks ago, kind of thing. So, and these struts, I may need to buy new ones. They feel really rigid, and they're not factory, so they've been replaced on the car I pulled at the scrapyard. So, so on second thought, I think I maybe will go ahead and put this up. Come on. Oh yeah. That's pretty darn close to the top there. So, okay, now I can climb down on the fender and look and see just where I want to mount that. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount it right where the strut is, instead of having to try to lift it. That way, when it comes time to replacing them and stuff like that, I can just prop the hood all the way up, disconnect them, and go from there. Might be kind of hard to show this, but I put a 2x4 in there to hold the fender away, okay, and then what I did was I'm holding the bolt, pretty much flat. Now there's a flange back here. See that flange? And that's a big washer. I don't really want to go back so far that the washer sits over the flange. Okay, so I'm just kind of guesstimating so that the washer won't. And then what I did was use the bolt itself. Now I'm at a slight angle there because, that puts it at the middle of the bolt, basically. So I gotta go get a Sharpie and mark that a little bit better because, as the bolt wiggles around, it marks more area than it needs to. And I think, rather than try to figure out exactly where that's at on the inside, which I could, I might just get out the right angle drill and do that with a stubby drill bit. Got the hole drilled. It's in there. Basically what I did was I used a smaller bit than needed because it was tight on space even with the right angle drill and a stubby bit. So if you could measure it in reference to that dimple, that just might be better. So anyway, I drilled the undersized hole in first, and then went to the interior with a cordless drill and the correct size drill bit and put it in there. So that's waiting, and I did pop the clip off and pull this out of the way. But that's what I wanted to show you was right here. So I put a mark on the backside there to make sure it clears the thing. That mark, that's an oops. I got to kind of decide to figure, you know, the hinge is back there, you know. So what's the arc going to be? Kind of figuring I got to cut it down to here. Let me figure out exactly how I'm going to cut that. Yeah, there's the cut back there. There's that cut. Now I got to see if I can find a way to bend that flange over. I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but I've got a bunch of these TV trays. Buy a cheap set on Amazon. We got the wood ones because, you know, they were in the house for a long time. But then it turned out that since I have so little bench space anywhere, and they make great portable tool holders, you know, outside too. So, okay, I'm going to first start to see if I can get it down, and then I'm kind of hoping maybe a block of wood and a pry bar to push it down flatter. Let's put it back in position and see. Let's see where that goes to. Anyway, what's happening here is that as this comes down more, it gets closer to that, the distance, so it's making the rod move more toward the firewall inner fender as it comes down. So I'm kind of thinking, you know, I could probably get away with you know, like putting those two flat washers that I had on the inside, maybe putting those big ones on the outside. Clearance is so tight, I gotta get this closer to the hinge. Yeah, they've more or less been swedged on there, so I'm gonna end up having to cut them and bend them apart. At least there's a flange nut underneath though, so the stud for the top of the strut there is sticking out so far it's hitting the fender now. So I'm going to have to cut that off. In order to finish testing this, I can't let it all the way down because the torsion bars are in the way. So I think I'm just going to have to commit. And, you know, worst case, if the strut thingy doesn't quite work, I got to go get different struts, or I use a hood prop for who knows how long. So let me go get the zip wheel and cut off the torsion bars. Didn't seem to have lit any oil on fire. Hey, at least I put the cover on the air cleaner to keep sparks out of it. Okay. Well, I took an extra minute and went ahead and changed out that cutoff wheel on that grinder just to make sure that I don't get froggy, jump on something, forget all about it, and you know, anyway. All right, one gone. There we go. Well, it dawned on me that, oh, I guess I got to screw that back on, but if you have an air body solder, if you ever used one, hacksaw blades fit in perfectly. And so then you can change the tooth pitch instead of having to buy the really expensive ones. The expensive ones that taper down are great for scroll work when you've got to turn corners. But if you don't have to turn corners, or if you need to lean, really reach in deep there, use a hacksaw blade. I got to go screw that down though. Okay, so you don't really want to stab yourself, but a small 1/8" blade screwdriver will go in under the clip there and lift it up like that. Once it lifts up, then this pops out. You got to get it out far enough. Another possible option, let's put it down on there, tiny pliers. Oh yeah, that's the way to do it. Way nicer. Okay, so I want to leave it out because I'm going to put the ball back in it. So since I just got done doing this on the other side, I tried to do just one cut and do it, and that didn't work. So I'm getting close to the flange on the bolt there, but not hitting it. So here we go. Oh, got to pull the fender away a little more. Not pretty, and it did move a little bit. I had marked it 1/8 inch high to begin with. Yeah, we're still about 1/16 inch high, which is perfect because once I slip it in there and crank it down, it'll put a little pressure on the strut. It helps when you sharpen the bit up a little bit. Huh? Got the final clearances, took the nuts off, the washers are in. Everything's bolted in good enough that it should be done. Okay, I could stand to crank down the nuts a little bit more, but I'll tell you what, I had my wife pull it down so I could check some clearances and that stuff. Oh yeah, the bolt heads, the ends of the bolts clear okay. Oh yeah. But clearances are tight. I'll see if I can get under the fender here in a minute. But check this out. Yeah, I'm happy about that. And I did set it to where, you know, it goes up even a bit more. But it doesn't try to come down. You have to pull it. Get some more clearancing there because just as it got to the front it was hitting, so I took some more off. When it comes all the way forward, it's really close to that nub sticking out there, and the back of the head here comes really close to hitting this piece, both sides. So, you know, clearancing the sheet metal made clearance for the shaft, but I had to take the fat washer off of here to get clearance for the head. I don't really want to cut the flange off there, but if I find that rubbing, I can. Yep. Oh yeah, the hood's all the way up, so it's just touching. Push come to shove, fender comes off, I can tap that in a little bit. Yeah, I think it's just touching. Nothing I am going to worry about today, that is for sure. Still got some range on the strut compression there. I think you can see the little stain, the mark where it would finish going into. Yeah, looks like we're touching on this side too, but the strut body's not touching anywhere. All right. Well, I'm happy with it. If I have to, whoops, where am I at? Where am I at? There we go. If I have to, I will get different studs. I'd like to see if I could find something different I may look, that'll be easy enough to change out. But I'm not going to bolt the fender back down or anything like that until that is absolutely finalized. But I could also push that metal in just a little bit if I ever take the fender off. But you know, it's I'm tickled pink with it so far.